You're now live on Facebook as well.
I'm live now on Facebook?
Yeah.
Really? Wow. Thank you, sir.
Keep the bottle off camera.
Okay,
You
okay.
have a special peak. Okay, we're on in about a minute.
And you're live.
So how much time will this be, you think?
What? Well, you're on in segment. You're on at after the half hour
Okay.
break, so you're welcome to be here. But I'm most likely going to run the show until then.
Okay, okay.
May have to be trying to move you. And what is Jim on? Okay, good, perfect. So, if I do go to you, I need real quick answers, and then back to me, okay?
Okay,
Because I have a lot to say.
okay.
May. I
I got an email from Shona Bishop, and I'm hoping to be able to tell more news on Tina Peters.
Okay, we're on it in like 30 seconds.
Okay. Should I have this one?
Jill Biden campaigning for Vice President Harris in North Carolina, making a pitch to voters in Winston-Salem.
The stakes in this election are clear. Hope over hate. Freedom over fear.
Yeah.
Listen to Fox News.
Welcome to the Peak News. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman, and you're listening to AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer. And guess what? We made it. It's election week. Election day is tomorrow. We can move past all of this. We can get back to our normal life. No, we know we can't. Sorry to tease you like that, but yeah. The elections don't end, by the way. The election cycles go on and on and on. We're just, moving toward the next one. And we don't even know when this one's going to end. We're hearing from states, we're hearing from different people that no, there's no way that this is going. We're going to know on election night. We're not going to know. We need to count ballots. We need to do this. There are certain states where ballots can show up for days afterwards, and so it doesn't end. I don't want to set you up for thinking that we're past it. But here's a little secret that maybe nobody ever tells you. There's always life after the election. Of course, it's the biggest election of our lifetime. It's the most important life and death, democracy, everything that we hold dear is on the ballot. Okay, to a point that's true. I'm not mocking that. To a point that is very much true. It shouldn't be that way. Elections should not be this dire. There shouldn't be such a difference, in my opinion, between voting one way and voting another, that our entire life, our entire nation hangs in the balance. It shouldn't be. We seem to be there. But there is always life after the election. And what do we do with that life? Do we go back to sleep? Do we fight? Do we get more involved? I don't know. I'm just one person. I know that as long as I can keep doing this radio show, I'm going to do that. As long as I, can keep putting out the voter guide I put out, I'm going to do that. As long as I can keep serving my family and my community, I'm going to keep doing that. Now, whether we do it, well, that's up to the collective we. And I am concerned, I very much am, that we the people, have lost our collective will to do anything, much less battle against forces that would seek to, you know, I want to use the word enslave us. It's pretty dramatic. It may be accurate, but let's just say forces that want to exert power over us and not let us be free. Forces that have agendas that don't have to do with what's good for our nation or for, you know, the average person, I don't want to say common people. There's a lot of things I don't want to say. There's a lot of phrases that, you know, but you understand what they mean. After the election, what are we going to do? And so today, we're going to both encourage you to vote, and if you haven't voted yet, to do so and to get educated, get informed, vote your values. Make sure to turn in your ballot or vote in person by 7 p.m. Tomorrow, here November 5th, whatever county you happen to be in, and to do it and to make sure that you do that. We're going to talk about, you know, what's really on the ballot, because a lot of people, this is on the ballot, that's on the ballot. I'm gonna tell you, after, with all the things that I research, the people I talk to. I've had the pleasure for the past month of talking to so many people about the ballot issues and about the election. You know, I may be in position a little bit better than you are, because it's my job as a journalist to know about these things, and I'm going to give you, you know, somewhat of my opinion on that, some context, but all of it is so that you can make the best choice, not so that you'll be another Chaim Goldman. You know, I don't think the world needs another one, for sure. But it needs you, for sure. So what's really on the ballot? Then we're going to be discussing, will the media declare the winner? And will America stand up? Will there be election integrity? We have Jerry Kelly, who is from Censor to Evidence, and one of our original and very active citizen journalists for the Peak. Jerry, thank you for being here on the Peak today.
Thank you, Hyman.
It's great to have you here, and Jerry does a lot of work on election integrity, and so we're going to be spending a good amount of the show talking about that. And then, life after the election. Well, what do I think we can expect, and what do I think we should do? And of course, Jim Miller and the Peak Rants, and Jim is just about done with the elections, as I think we all are. So I want to tell you a couple things before we go to the break. One is patronize our sponsors, because we're a scrappy startup. We're trying to do stuff that the media isn't. We shouldn't have to, but, you know, hey, this is our country. We all need to step up and do things that someone else really should be doing. But, you know, in the end, we the people. So thank you to all of our sponsors, especially Springs Dentist and Dr. Craig Summer, Holistic Dentistry in Colorado Springs. They're our family dentist. And all of our sponsors, please listen to the commercials. Go on our website, thepeak.news, check them out, hit the hot links, and patronize them and thank them for paying the bills, providing this service. And I want to let you know that we have another Peak event coming up. Very excited. If you're ready, like right after the elections, I think we all want to go out, maybe have a little bit of fun, but also do good. And the Peak Educational Foundation, which I've talked about on this show, which is to help youth learn journalistic ethics and media vocational training and come into an internship here at the Peak. We're having an event on November 14th, Thursday, November 14th in the evening at the Pinery at the Hill. And it's going to be a very fun fundraiser. We have a lot of great people. I'll talk about this more toward the end of the show. We have a lot of great people speaking, a lot of great people coming. We're going to have a lot of fun, and it's to the benefit of the Peak News Educational Foundation. Go to thepeak.news/events, thepeak.news/events for more information. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. We're saying the quiet stuff out loud about the elections. Okay, we have a couple minutes, but we are on the live stream, so we're never completely off mic.
Okay.
In here. So obviously the amount of information that you brought, you're not going to have time, so you're going to need to decide what you want to do.
Right.
What you think you can cover. But I have the 3 questions. It's a 12-minute segment, so you'll have about
3 minutes.
3 minutes an answer. You have about 3 minutes an answer.
Okay.
You know, with the intro and the outro and
Okay.
things like that, and me having time to ask the question.
Okay.
So I didn't talk about time cues. So this is, and if you're listening at home, this is radio prep. This means wrap it up. So about 10 or 15 seconds, hand it back to me because I want to move on to the next thing.
Okay.
You don't have to come to a screeching halt, but if you ever hear music, that means I'm 30 seconds from the break.
Okay.
So I really got to get it back. If I give you 1 or 2 minutes, that's like giving you an approximate time budget.
That's 1 or 2
Yeah,
minutes.
1 or 2 minutes, so that you can sort of feel out like I'm watching the clock. I'm giving you a budget, so try to feel that out. It's not an exact science, but
Okay.
to work through it. Otherwise, because it's just voice, there's got to be more intensity, passion, because the only thing carrying the message is voice, no facial expressions or body language or
Okay.
whatever. So sort of like radio theater, in that the energy has to be there, emotions. If you want to,
I
people
was
have to.
concerned about,
Right.
maybe I should lay back on that.
No, don't, because in radio, the only thing that carries it is voice. So
Okay.
people are passionate about things that the person who's speaking is passionate about, but also, if you're frustrated, you gotta, or you're angry,
Okay.
or hey, this is a great thing, like, you
Yeah.
have to vocalize emotions or
Okay.
it stays in the room.
Okay.
That's just the way it is. But
Okay.
if it's sort of radio theater or sort of theater acting to the back of the
Okay.
theater, if you're more expressive, because by the time it goes through here, gets to the car, road noise, screaming children, people getting in, you gotta grab people.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if you lay back, it'll sound sleepy
Okay.
on the other end because it shrinks.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Okay.
but anyway, listen to me over the next couple of segments and you'll pick up on.
Sound like I probably should have been a little louder when I said thank you to you, maybe?
That's okay. And also the mic has a very tight pickup, so you get in very close on it. But there's just.
Do I have to be kind of like this?
Yeah, you
Okay.
get really close. So it's more just, it's an intensity more than anything
Yeah.
else. Okay, here we
Okay.
go. Welcome back to the Peak News. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. You're listening to AM 1460 and FM 101.1. The Answer, and today is November 4th, 2024. Tomorrow is Election Day, Armageddon, something between that and that, depending on who you listen to. And so I decided tomorrow's going to be fun. We're going to have what I call the Peak Pundits are going to be here, and we have Jim Miller and Jordan Baldwin and Jason Lupo and Joel Sorensen and maybe others. I'm not sure. I think that'll pack the room tomorrow, talking about what we expect, especially on the local level, from the elections. And then the rest of the week we'll be talking about the results of the elections and what they mean to you. So I decided, since I pay attention to a lot of things and I have opinions and I like to put things in context and I like to help people think through things, that I would spend today, most of the program, giving you my perspective. Now, I want to say that because a lot of times you get perspective or opinion or narrative and they say it's news. The media says it's news. And it is news because news isn't just facts. It's not. News is facts and context, history, balancing things, trying to figure stuff out. Human beings are complex, and so if you haven't figured that out, and our societies are complex, and so trying to sort through this, especially in a world where people seem okay to lie and manipulate and everything, it's tough. So I will just say that even though this is a form of journalism, the things that I'm going to be saying are my perspective today in most things, and so I want you to know that you're listening to Chaim Goldman, and if that means anything to you, and I can help you live your life, make good decisions for yourself, your family, your community, I'm honored to do that, especially if I can inspire you to speak up, to exercise your First Amendment rights, and to talk to your neighbors, and talk to your family, and talk to your pastor, and anybody else, so because when we are silent, it becomes harder to speak up, and eventually we're a silenced society, and I know I don't want that. So we're doing what I'm calling the pre-election day wrap-up, and in this segment I'm going to talk about what I really think is on the ballot. Everybody has a different opinion about that, of course. Democracy, right? Democracy is on the ballot, if you believe that. Of course, all of these ballot initiatives that we have here in Colorado, those are absolutely on the ballot. Like, do we want to completely change the election system in this state? Do we want abortion to move from, by the way, the day after the election, regardless of how Constitutional Amendment 79, no matter how it gets decided in the state, there will be legal abortion up until birth still happening in Colorado, because that's already a law. So you need to know that. What this would shift, it would make it a right. And honestly, I don't understand how our Constitution, which especially in the U.S. on the federal level is supposed to protect life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness, how there is a right to end the life of a human being, a baby in the womb. I don't get it. I don't. I don't know how anybody gets it. I'll just be straight up on that. I know that we can argue about a lot of things, but about life and whether a human life should be protected by our laws, I don't understand that. So life is on there, funding the police, school choice, all these other things, and you should open up your ballot. You should get as much information as you can. We have churchvoterguides.org. That's something that I helped start. You can go on there. We have candidate surveys in their own words. We have information about the ballot initiatives. And we also have links to a lot of other voter guides, all over the political spectrum. So if you haven't voted yet, and are you planning to vote? If you're not, please do. Please do. Exercise that right. You need to. Have enough confidence, maybe not in the system, but in yourself, to exercise that right. So, all in all, I would say that the number one thing that's on the ballot is you. What are you going to do? First of all, are you going to vote? Secondly, how are you going to vote? Are you going to put in the time to be an active citizen who really, really believes in what we're doing here in America, this great 250-year-old almost experiment? And are you willing to be part of it and put in the time? Not just try to benefit from it as much as you can, but to actually put in the time and do something. So I'd say number one, you're on the ballot. And what that means, that's going to be up to you. Secondly, our local, state, and national government absolutely is. Every legislator or judge, or county commissioner, or anybody here and across the nation that we decide as the people to represent us, that becomes our representative government. We are not a democracy, okay? We're a republic. And we send representatives, and who we send definitely determines who the government is that then makes decisions for us. So that is always on the ballot. And then, of course, these ballot initiatives. Will things become law? Will they not? Will they be struck down? Will they not? Will money be spent here? Will it not? Will abortion become a right, not just not just allowed, not just permissible? Is democracy on the ballot? You know what, I'm not going to go there, because again, we're a republic. But what I mean is, there are freedoms on the ballot. Yes, absolutely. The state of our government, how we operate, and what that means to you on a very personal level, because these laws apply to you. Taxes apply to you. All of these things, whether or not you agree with them, apply to you. And then, of course, there's the presidential election. And that has a lot. That influences us here in a big way. Obviously, it's very, very important, but it's not the most important thing. It doesn't affect us as much as we think. Really, if we would exercise our powers here, if we would understand the whole concept of the lesser magistrate and local government and the power of that, we would be more focused on that. I believe we get distracted by the federal. But let's talk about the federal, because this is a big deal. The candidates couldn't be more different, in my opinion. But this thing I do know, if we want to talk about, democracy or following law or whatever, we have one candidate that absolutely went through the entire political process while under fire, the entire time, court hearings and all kinds of stuff going on. And the other has never been voted on, ever. Didn't run in the primary. In fact, the person who seemingly is appointing her, Joe Biden, the existing president, at least legally, the existing president, or whatever, maybe I shouldn't say legally, some people might disagree with that, is that this is a person who he chose as vice president and then appointed, and there was no primary that she went through when she tried to run for president years ago. Basically, no one voted for her. And then there was no competition in the convention. It was just, here's the person that's going to represent the Democratic ticket. And I don't know why there aren't more Democrats going, this is not the political process. This is not right. This is not the way things are supposed to be. It almost seems like she was appointed into this position. And because of that, I'm concerned, because of things that I've seen for decades in how governments are run around this world in ways that are not democratic. And even as recently as how the elections, I don't know if you pay attention to these things, went down in France, went down in Great Britain recently, and in Venezuela. That's really the big lesson for us, I think, is, are we actually going to have the person who wins, if it's not the person that the media favors, if it's not the person that certain powers in high place favor, that we're going to be told something different than reality. I think we've experienced that a lot in the media, and I'm concerned that come tomorrow and come the rest of the week, that we're going to be confronted with things that are not true, and we're going to have to decide what to do about that, because the media is incredibly powerful. We have this situation, I believe we have politics, we have the media, and we have the church. And all of those are very, very powerful forces in society, but I don't think any of them are doing their job right now. And when I come back, I'm going to talk about, will the media declare the winner and will America stand up? I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. We'll be right back with The Peak. Okay. Now I'm gonna go, next one I go on the record, but I already did a few months ago, but I think we're going to try to steal it.
Oh yeah, oh absolutely, I'm gonna try to steal it.
I'm going to put up, I hope I'm wrong.
I would love to be proven wrong. And even if Trump is declared the winner, we can't stop. We got election fraud things to clean up. We gotta get it in.
Right, because that's because of the 2020 not being, you know.
Absolutely. If he wins, it's because it was such a massive influx of people this time that they knew that if they keep flooding it with more phantom voters, the voter rolls are going to increase. The phantom votes, it's going to be a record turnout, and it's because of the phantoms are trying to interject to beat Trump. What happens in that scenario? Well, it's anybody's guess, but we still have to clean it up. But it looks like they're going to claim.
And of course illegals.
Oh yeah. And guess what? Pennsylvania got caught.
Just be careful, when you're moving the papers around, it's getting picked up on the mic, so
Okay.
just try to do it a little bit
Okay.
more quietly.
Pennsylvania got caught trying to register over 2,000 toddlers under 2 years old. So not only they're robbing the grave, they're robbing the cradle too to get votes.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't hear that one yet.
It
That just came out this morning?
It just came out yesterday. No, it came out on the 30th.
The problem is, even if something is done about it, they never hold a person accountable.
And
And
that's,
as
that's
long
our
as-
mistake. That's our mistake.
Yeah, and if you never, and it's the same thing with these, you know, with the drug companies and, you know, the illegal stock trade. It's like they fine a company, but they never, nobody ever sees jail time, or rarely. And so when you do that, it's like, okay, let's try to maximize corporate profits, and if we get caught, you know, if we made $1 billion and we have to pay $100 million in fines, cost of doing business.
Right.
But if CEOs
Start
actually
going to jail.
went to jail,
Yeah.
they're not gonna do that. They're not gonna see it as a cost of doing business.
That's right,
I mean,
that's
you
right.
know, but that so rarely happens. And here's the event. We finally have the flyer ready. I'll
Thank
send
you.
that to you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're back in a minute.
I take it this is out of sight. I'm not quite sure.
Sorta, kinda, enough.
Okay. I should have put this bullet points all on one page.
Yeah, so you'll learn. That is the thing to do.
several years ago, I was on the radio for the first time.
We're back in 5. Welcome back to the Peak News. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. You're listening to AM 1460 and FM 101.1. The Answer. No, I'm not here to lie to you. I'm here to do my best to try to help you to navigate through lies that the media is pushing on us all the time. If it hasn't become obvious to you that the media is partisan, my goodness, how many elections do you have to watch where the media is either ecstatic or crying when the results come in, to realize that these people do not know how to do their jobs? Well, the job that they say they're doing. They obviously are doing the job of the people who are paying them, where they wouldn't be in front of the camera, they wouldn't be given a microphone. The beautiful thing about what we do here at the Peak is, this is my show, but it's your show. I'll turn it over to you. You can go on the Peak.News. We got Jerry Kelly here. In the next segment, he's going to be reporting, and you can be a reporter too. And we are supported by local businesses, many of them. Not one big benefactor who can have any influence over what we do. We are completely independent. We're here to serve you as journalists. But the media is very partisan. And because of that, we've seen things happen around the planet that are very disturbing regarding elections here in America and elsewhere very recently in other countries. And I know America is the only country in the world that matters, right? No, we need to pay attention, because America is the big jewel for those who want to take things down. They understand that. That's why they're coming for us basically last. But they are coming for us. And when I say they, I mean Marxists. And you can see Marxism in everything. It's been in the, and they told us this. It's in the congressional record. This was put in the 1950s, I believe, that it was read in these like 50, 60 points from the Communist Party in America about what they wanted to accomplish, including taking over one or both major political parties. And we see so much of this going on, and we see it as cultural Marxism, we see it as political Marxism, but in the end, this is the opposite of what our founding fathers set up for us to do, to be and to take advantage of. And so I'm going to say something in this segment. I went on the record a couple months ago on the air, but the day before the elections, I'm going to say it again, and I hope I'm wrong. I want to let you know, I'm not saying thus saith the Lord. I don't know this. This is conjecture, but I can't shake it. And this is what I think, and this is what it's based on. The 2020 elections, there were a lot of problems in the 2020 elections. We saw, boxes of ballots coming out from underneath the table in Georgia. We saw it with our own eyes, and we said, there's the smoking gun. And then it became a nothing sandwich. We said, nothing to see here, move along. Even whatever you see, we're not allowed to believe it. And because we didn't clean that up and people just said move along, we are where we are right now. And then we have a media that during the debates you saw that the people who were supposed to be moderators weren't. They're saying that Trump's rally at Madison Square Garden was a Nazi rally, on and on and on. We just know that they're pulling out all the stops. And so if we look at what happened with, right in front of us, manipulation of elections in Great Britain and France, that should really worry us about how they played around with things there, and look at that. But what happened in Venezuela quite recently, where it was known that the pro-democracy candidate over the Marxists, that he won, but the government declared that the Marxists won, the media declared it, and the opposition, the democracy side, actually showed that they won 2-1. And the people even came out into the streets, and it didn't matter. The person, and foreign governments, including the United States, recognized the win that Maduro lost, and yet Maduro is still in power. The opposition, the person who seemingly won, had to flee the country to Spain, and nobody's doing anything about it, that it seems, even though the people wanted something different. And so this is what I think is going to happen, and again, I hope I'm wrong. I believe that because of the groundswell of how unpopular this administration has been, Biden-Harris, that so many people are going to vote for Trump that he's going to win, but the media and the powers that be are going to tell us that he didn't. And they're going to show us that, and we're all gonna know it's not true. And yet, they're going to tell us that it is. And this is the question that I have. Will America stand up if that happens? Or have we lost the collective will to do it? Will we fight for truth, for accuracy in our elections? But unfortunately, what I've seen over the past 4 years, I don't know that we will. I hope that I'm wrong, and I'm hope that whoever wins rightfully is declared the winner soon and very soon. But from what I'm seeing around the planet, I don't expect it. And so when we come back, we have Jerry Kelly, our citizen journalist, talking about election integrity and what we should be looking for.
Now, my website is censoredevidence.org.
What?
Censoredevidence.org.
Censored.
Yeah, past tense, censoredevidence.org.
Okay, so you ready? So remember, you gotta keep it moving. If you see me do this, it means, or if you see me do this, it means like move a lot, like move through your material. You're a dragon. I think everybody knows this. That's the universal move it along. Okay, this is only a 2-minute break, so we're up. So this is a 12-minute segment.
That's just 12 minutes?
It's 12 minutes.
Okay. I think most of my stuff is in, well, I got a lot of stuff in all three. Most, I think, is in sections 1 and 2. Can we post legal organizations on your website that people can give to help fight this? They can be on my website.
Yeah, let me
Direct
see,
people to
it's
my
better if we
website.
push people to your,
Okay.
anyway, let's talk, we're back in 15. Welcome back to The Peak. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. You're listening to AM 1460 and FM 101.1, The Answer, and we're doing our pre-election day wrap-up, just giving just sort of an overall, a context, a 35,000-foot look down on, you know, what are we looking at tomorrow, and what are we seeing moving forward, and what might happen, and how should we be prepared for it, and what can we do about it? Because here at The Peak, we say the quiet stuff out loud. And so we're willing to, you know, say things that people think about, but generally on the news, you don't buck the trend, you know, you don't come against things, you don't say things that are too radical, just things that are sensational. But the truth is hard to come by, and we're trying to sort through that. And so we invite you to go to thepeak.news, find out more about us, and join us, because two people that did, first of all, Jim Miller, just a guy who always finishes our program with the Peak Rants. We did a voter guide with Jim called He's Just a Guy, so this is Just a Guide, and you can go on thepeak.news, go to the top, click the Just a Guide link, and there's a 1-hour video of Jim and me going over the ballot initiatives in the state and Colorado Springs, and you get Jim's opinion. Can't say I agree with everything, you know, Jim says, but hey, that's America, you know, we don't always agree, but we do get along, and Jim's great with that. And also someone who took us up on this offer to be a citizen journalist is Jerry Kelly of Censored Evidence. And Jerry is here today because he is very much into researching election integrity. And so we're going to be talking about that today. I do a voter guide, but I think elections are being stolen. I think anybody that says, oh, that's conspiracy or whatever, yeah. On any given election, if your guy doesn't win, you think it too. We all know something's up. We all know the system seems to be rigged in different ways. And so, you know, it's just, but you know, who's in control? We shouldn't assume who's in control of it, right? We should just want to clean it up so that there's one citizen, yes, citizens voting, not illegals, one citizen, one vote, I also believe one day. But Jerry, thanks again for being on the Peak,
Thank you, Chaim.
and thanks for being a citizen journalist. Can you give people just 30 seconds, just your background, your professional background?
Well, I am a former technical consultant to the U.S. Space Force. I'm retired now, and so now I'm a citizen journalist for the Peak News. That's keeping me busy. I am a cross between a physicist and an electrical engineer, and I'd rather be doing science and math and engineering right now than this stuff, but I see our nation's on fire, and we got to protect her.
Okay, so but you're a data person.
Yes, sir.
That's really good for reporting as data person. So, will there be election integrity both locally and on the national level in this election? That's what we're talking about in this segment. Jerry, what have we learned in the past 4 years about, I like the term election security, because integrity sounds like someone's not being integrous and someone's not being integrous, but try to not be inflammatory. We should all be into election security. We should, in my opinion. But what have we learned about this over the past 4 years?
Well, let me give you bits and pieces of the puzzle and let your audience put it together. Number one, Texas rejected Dominion voting machines, and January 2020, a letter went out, and this is in their quote. Dominion was not safe from fraudulent or unauthorized manipulation. That's coming from Texas. They rejected Dominion. The other fact that we know is Dominion is used in 62 of Colorado's 64 counties. That ought to raise concern. Number three, we learned that Tina Peters, a duly elected clerk in Mesa County, Colorado, accidentally caught our Secretary of State, Jenna Griswold, and Dominion creating unauthorized databases and not transmitting all the votes to those databases. And also the votes they did transmit it, we're not convinced that they are the original voters' intent either. So we have massive crime evidence associated with our Secretary of State and Dominion. Guess what? Judge Matthew Barrett restricted all this evidence in Tina Peters' trial. All of it was restricted. We can talk about...
And Tina's now in jail.
That's correct.
With a 9-year sentence.
That's correct. Let's talk about the new law, SB 22-153, that was created in the 2022 general section. It prohibits every county and election clerk in Colorado, and we have 64 counties, it prohibits them from doing a Tina Peters-like full system backup. Now we should really think, why is that? Why do we restrict our county clerks?
And if people want to know what Tina Peters was trying to do her job and doing a backup, how she did it is questionable, and this is what the trial was supposed to be about.
The trial was really on all the states, our Secretary of State's criticisms of Tina. The Secretary of State only wanted people from Dominion, her office, and the county workers in Mesa County in that trusted bill process. Tina learned via Dominion and a person from the Secretary of State's office that the QR codes would be deleted when they did their so-called trusted bill. Tina knew that she needed those QR codes to reproduce election results that she was by law required to keep for 25 months. So she went to scrambling to her IT department to try to figure out, please help me save these records. They said, we can't help you. So Tina was forced to get an outside consultant, and what she did, a guy with a top-level security clearance, fully vetted, and he did a full system backup before and after the so-called trusted bill, and we learned in that process the trusted bill erased criminal data. Erased it.
And yet, I understand why they may have wanted to put Tina Peters on trial, but the fact is, the whole issue that she was trying to protect or expose, or however you want to say it, it's like it's gotten swept away. We should be talking, about what she was trying to accomplish and why it had to go this way, but it seems nobody wants to talk about that.
Let's talk about count 10. Tina was judged guilty of. That was for disobeying the Secretary of State's orders. Well, guess what? Tina needed to get an outside consultant to do the backup so she wouldn't break Colorado's statutory law of saving the records.
Because her local IT person wouldn't do it.
That's correct. And they said they couldn't do it.
Okay. So what I want to do today is we're looking, toward tomorrow, and we're already being told it's going to take days or longer in order to count the votes, which is interesting because every time people say they want to do hand count of paper ballots, we're told we can't, we have to do the machines or else it will take forever. Well, now we're using the machines and being told that it will take a very long time. So that's an interesting point. But what can people, if there is fraud of some kind from an institutional level, what would we be seeing coming out, getting reported? What would we be seeing tomorrow and the rest of the week, in your opinion, if there's wide-scale fraud on the machine level?
Well, let me explain that people should go in person and cast their vote in person. Why is that an advantage? Because they can be told right then and there if they have already voted. Well, if they are claimed to being already, if they have been told they've already voted, guess what? They need to show them their mail-in ballot, and then you go to online and fill out a criminal report. We're going to expect a phenomenal increase in voters turnout. And guess what? Pennsylvania was caught registering 2-year-olds, over 2,000.
So you're saying one of the signs of voter fraud is that there's just like there's just a lot of voters that supposedly are voting.
Oh yeah, the voter registration rules are being inflated. Pennsylvania registered over 2,000 babies, toddlers under 2 years old and under. So they're not only robbing the grave, they're robbing the cradle to try to get their side to win. We can see other things happening in the press. In fact, it was, excuse me, that quote was, yeah, that was in Pennsylvania. Here's another one from Pennsylvania. We can expect that despite Trump rising in the polls, we can see the news media proclaiming Harris the winner. This came out of a Pennsylvania ABC affiliate station apologized for airing the test 2024 election results. Video footage and images captured by viewers show that the station declared Vice President Harris the winner over former President Trump. We know the major media is in bed with the corrupt government.
We saw this a couple years ago. They said it was a mistake. They're just testing the system, but it seems like they're prophesying or that they're pre-programmed.
Let me tell you, let's talk about other mistakes here locally in Colorado. Colorado got caught 2 years ago trying to register over 30,000 illegals. Oh, that was a mistake. Recently, Jenna Griswold, Secretary's office, was caught releasing passwords online for over 6 months. This was the claim they put against Tina, and Tina released no passwords. She just made copies of computer screens, and the prosecuting attorney, Robert Shapiro, brought that to Tina's trial, but he wouldn't permit the jury to see the screen. Why? Because you can't read any passwords. They were redacted. So it was a lie, and Tina Peters is a lie in jail because of a lie.
So we only have about a minute or so left. There's so much data, and we'll give out your website. But what can we do about it? You mentioned go and vote in person and make sure that your ballot counts. But what can we do, not just on Election Day, but moving forward, to try to make sure that we have confidence in our elections, that they're being run properly? I
say get smart on election integrity. Go to tinapeters.us. Click on the reports tab and read the 3 forensic reports. At least if you only have time for one, read the 2-page summary in report number 3. That has the evidence of fraud. And number 2, go to my website, censoredevidence.org. On the homepage, scan down to the censored documentaries box and listen for at least 9 minutes of the nation-state vulnerability expert, Jeff Lundberg, talk about the vulnerabilities of our elections. In 9 minutes, you'll be convinced we should not be using electronic devices for voting. If that doesn't convince you, watch the free documentary. Again, there's no royalty fees. You can show it to a large group setting. Let My People Go. It shows the multiple ways elections can be stolen electronically. We've got to get away from these machines. If we used to be able to do it, count paper ballots and know the results in a single day, and it's amazing that we can't, even with our computers. Funny how that is.
Yeah, and in the state of Colorado, by law, we had Steve Schleicher, the county clerk for El Paso County, on about a week or so ago. You can go on the peak.news and listen to that podcast. By law, they have to use machines, and most are using Dominion.
One more point, be ready to support legal organizations to fight this battle in court, and I'll have those on my website, censoredevidence.org.
Okay, Jerry Kelly is one of our citizen journalists that we love to have as we're growing out this grassroots organization. You can become one too. If this isn't a topic you're interested in, I'm sure you're interested in something. We need citizen journalists around the entire city reporting on the good, the bad, and the ugly, because we need to keep saying the quiet stuff out loud and bringing transparency and accountability. Jerry Kelly, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Censoredevidence.org is his website. When we come back here on The Peak, will there be life after the election? Yes, of course there will. And so I want to give you a little bit of hope about what we can do moving forward. It's not going to be easy, but you need to be part of it. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman. We'll be right back with The Peak. Good.
Thank you. I stumbled around when I tried to talk fast.
Yeah, but you talk fast, which is good. Okay. Cool. You're welcome to stick around, but,
Thank you.
whenever you're done.
Thank
Hey,
you, thank you.
how long is,
5 minutes and 10 seconds. How much you have?
I have an extra 10 seconds, okay. Thank you.
So, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. We appreciate it. I mean, I didn't tell you about this, I have Crosswalk, which is from 5 to 6 PM, and I'm basically doing the same show, but I wasn't going to have you
Okay, okay.
on, but if you,
Okay.
if you wanna stick around, it's not gonna be for another hour and a half, 2 hours, you know, or,
Okay.
yeah.
But I won't be staying, you won't ask me any questions or anything?
No, we could do a segment on this,
I'll do it
on
again.
there.
Do it
and-
again?
Yeah, but for a Christian audience,
Okay.
so a little bit different.
Oh,
but
yeah.
But that won't be until probably 5:30.
Tell you what, let me go get a bite to eat and I'll come back.
Okay,
Okay, thank you,
Cool.
sir.
so we'll do that, so that's a 10-minute segment.
Okay, and about,
And we'll probably start it at 5:30.
start at 5:30, so I'll be back before 5:30.
Yeah, if 5:20, I'd like to know you're here by like 5:20,
I can do that.
because we'll have a break. Yeah, we'll have a break at about 5:15, so
Okay.
maybe if you can come back then, because then you can come in
Yes, sir.
here and be sitting here for that segment.
We can do that.
Okay,
Thank you.
cool, thank you, Jim. Yeah, now this was a News Talk audience, that one will be a Christian audience, so let's get, more faith
I can do that.
centered, less,
I can do that.
less political, more faith. Same data, but just, different audience.
Draw
Yeah.
my scriptural references for
The,
that.
the audience that, listens to sermons, not to
Yeah.
conservative news talk,
Okay,
but getting them the information.
all right.
Cool.
You got a Bible here?
We do, yeah, I was gonna bring mine, I think I forgot, which see if it's in my desk, or if not, I can grab one, hopefully off
Yeah,
the
I
shelf.
don't know where your desk is.
Yeah, no, I'll get one.
Okay, I'll be here a little earlier.
I'll get
And review it.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
thank you. Welcome back to The Peak on AM 1460 and FM 101.1 The Answer. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman, and we are doing a pre-election day wrap-up. And so, in this final segment, before we get to Jim Miller and the Peak rants, as we always close out the show, I wanted to pose the question, is there life after the election? Will there be life after the election? Well, of course, unless you drop dead. There for you, maybe there won't be. But for the rest of us, for society in general, for the world in general, there will be. And so when we get into all of this, the most important election ever, and, democracy is on the line, and life or death, and all of those things are very much true in a lot of ways. I mean, we have abortion on the ballot here in Colorado, 9 other states. Life is literally on the ballot, in a way. But, if you think about it, whether or not, we call it Amendment 79, passes the following day, or when it would be enacted in January 1st, there still will be full-term abortion allowed, permitted in the state of Colorado. It won't be a constitutional right. It won't allow tax money to be spent on it, and other things. But it's still there. It's still part of where we're at. And all of these things, life goes on. Life goes on even, if we become, as people fear, a completely Marxist, communist, despotic, tyrannical country. And it's funny, people on both sides think that either candidate is going to take us into that situation. People still live under those governments. They wake up in the morning, they work, they eat, they take care of their children. It's not as good a life in any way whatsoever as being free, which is what we should want to be in this country. But it still goes on. And so what are we looking at, tomorrow, after tomorrow? Well, first of all, we don't even know if the election will be decided by end of day tomorrow. Hopefully locally we'll know a lot of stuff. With the presidential election, we're already being told, we're going to have to wait. And the problem with that is there's all kinds of ways that when there's delay, that there's more ways to cheat. And that becomes a problem. The other is civil unrest. No matter who wins, there is a promise of civil unrest in this country. I was just shown this morning an alert by Antifa, yes, they're back, Antifa saying it doesn't matter who wins, whether Trump wins or whether Harris wins, you're still voting for wars worldwide and all of this other stuff that it's so funny that Marxism says they're the people peaceniks supposedly say they're against, and yet let's have civil unrest and burn down cities because we don't want there to be war. It's quite interesting, of course. So not to have fear, but to be prepared to make sure that you have water and food and other things in case in your town. I don't know whether it will happen here in Colorado or Colorado Springs, but people are threatening to use this situation in order to cause the kind of unrest we saw during the summer of 2020, to protest, to be angry. I mean, my goodness, the Dodgers won the World Series and people were burning down Los Angeles. People like to burn down things. So be prepared for that. Moving forward, we have to do two things. We have to put confidence back in our electoral system by cleaning these things up and not kicking the can down the road or claiming that there's nothing to see here. There's absolutely things to see here. Let's stop denying that and fix it. And secondly, my passion is the church. Church. If you're going to impact society, you have to pay attention to what's going on. You say, the church purports to have the answer to all of our woes, but when it comes down to things like voting, we're finding out from like George Barna, the Christian pollster, that 50% of Christians in America don't plan to vote. And the reason for that is that pastors, for the most part, are not talking to people about real life issues, encouraging civic engagement. And I'm seeing that all across the city, even with the best of the best. The pastors who are the most politically and socially active are still, in my opinion, not doing enough to not just educate their people, but to commission them. Pastors, for God's sake, send your people out, not just to preach the gospel, but to be active in our community and make a difference. They aren't your people. They're part of the church. They're human beings, but they're there for your guidance. Train them up and send them out just like Jesus did. Send them out. Because if we are in the walls and not out in the streets, nothing is going to change. And so we need so much. We need civic engagement. We need all of our citizens to be active. And please vote. Get educated. Vote your values. I'm Chaim Goldman, the Watchman, and now Jim Miller and the Peak Rants. Please do not share this version of the flyer, comma, this was the B version for after the election, figuring that Jeff Crank is going to win, but this version isn't supposed to be released for a couple days based on the election period, so please don't share it yet. Thank you for joining us on The Peak. Tomorrow is Election Day. Please make sure to vote before 7 p.m., either in person or dropping off your ballot. To do that, it is part of your responsibility as a citizen. So please don't waste it, and please don't opt out. And please get educated, get informed about your values by getting as much information as you can before you mark your ballot. And if we can be of help at churchvoterguides.org, that's a project of mine, churchvoterguides.org. We surveyed the candidates and print exactly what they say. We did research on the ballot measures with some information that other voter guides don't necessarily give you, and we also have a list of many other voter guides, so go on there and do that. All of our sponsors, we thank you so much for having us on the air and keeping us on the air, and especially our platinum sponsor, Springs Dentist, Dr. Craig Summer, Holistic Dentistry in Colorado Springs. We are Monday through Thursday, 3 to 4 p.m., so we'll be back here tomorrow on The Answer. Tomorrow, Election Day predictions with the Peak Pundits, Jim Miller, Jordan Baldwin, Jason Lupo, Joe Sorensen, and me. And then Wednesday and Thursday, we'll be doing different shows with election result wrap-up. And, we don't know what it's going to be, so we're going to have to wait and see what that is. Stay tuned for the Larry Elder Show coming up next on The Answer, and check out our podcast at thepeak.news. Also, I want to invite you, we're having a Peak event on the 14th of November at the Pinery. This is, to have some fun and make a difference. It's a fundraiser for the Peak News Educational Foundation that we have started in order to pay it forward and train local youth in journalistic ethics and media vocational training and plug them into internships here at the Peak. Michael Gall, Superintendent of D11, Heidi Ganal of Rocky Mountain Voice, Chris Gould, GM here at the station, even Jeff Crank and me, I'm emceeing, are going to be there. Go to the peak.news/events, thepeak.news/events for more information and to get your tickets. It's called The Taste of the Peak. We're going to have some yummy food. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm Goldman the Watchman. Thank you for joining me for this Election Day wrap-up. Man, the elections are almost over. No, that's not true. Well, shalom to you.